hit the ground running, mashallah, and they're able to do what was needed in order to assist their husband in building them up and getting wherever they needed to go. They didn't sit and they wasn't traumatized by being in this new environment. They embraced their new environment. They hit the ground. They did what they needed to do to help their man build up, and whatever, they were on the same page. So that's sometimes an issue too. The sister comes over, she's so, she can't function. She's not able to function outside of her comfort zone. So she gets over there and she's traumatized. Some sisters get over there and they like, yo, what we got? What we doing? Let's do it. You need me to get a part-time job? We'll put the baby making thing to the side. Let's get this money. Let's build up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, from there. So, because if you look at the States and, we've all lived in Africa. Africa is when I say Africa, the entire continent, you got different places, of course, but it's easier to build sometimes in the U.S. And then from there you can leave if you need to, but you can kind of move forward a little bit quicker in the States. If the sister's on the same page with you, if she's willing to, buy into your story and say, okay, what are you doing? Okay, mashallah, let's go. Let's do it together and let's build together. So I've seen that happen too. Alhamdulillah. So, it depends on, it depends on the situation. So I've seen, you have so many different, it all depends, man. But one thing for sure, like how we started off, sometimes the sisters from overseas, they have their idea of what they know their role. That's the good thing. And sometimes you can build on that wherever, whatever other issues might come into place. You know that you got a sister that's going to treat you like a man, wife, and you can take care of her, So it depends, man. Like, like for me, if I was able to do it over again, there's a lot of different things I do.
Okay.
But you live and learn, man. You live and learn.
Okay.
Inshallah, the next time I'll do it right.
Okay. Yeah.
Inshallah. So yeah, it depends, man. It depends.
Okay. Okay. In relation to as far as concern as far as taking care of kids and so forth like that right there, you see any difference with sisters on the continent and with sisters in the States, and if so, how, and what's the difference and that type of thing?
That's a hard one for me to say because I was married before and we had one child, and unfortunately I wasn't. I can't really speak on her child bringing skills.
Okay.
I can't speak on it too much, to be honest with you.
Okay.
What I can say now is that, mashallah, even with the sometimes trauma I have with my wife from now, it's crazy. She takes care of my kids, man, mashallah. So she is the upbringing. I'm happy with it, in terms of a tarbiyah and the personality, they're not disrespectful, alhamdulillah. Sorry, man, I just had to close the door. So in that side, wallahi, man, mashallah, I'm grateful to Allah because I can tell that she's teaching them how to be, respectful. That's the biggest thing for me. Like in terms of teaching them other skills, school and things like that. I do that, they're gonna learn that, but I need them to understand, them being good Muslims is very important to her, and she pushes that on them a lot. I respect that. So alhamdulillah, man, on that side, I'm thankful and I'm grateful to Allah that she's intentionally trying to raise the kids to be good Muslims. I can put it like that. And that's very important, so mashallah. So like I said, I can't really compare because the other situation is salah that I can't even speak on. But on that side, I can't speak on it, unfortunately. I can only talk about what's going on right now with the 3 kids that I have now.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you another question. Now, this is kind of sticky right here, so you know, you brace yourself. You know what I mean? So, knowing everything that you know right now, and you know, I know you've been to the continent, and you know that taking more than one wife on the continent is a regular occurrence. It's not an issue. Don't make a difference if you're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, atheist, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know, they take it more than one. So if the opportunity was to arise in your particular case, would you marry another sister from the States?
From the States?
Yeah.
Of course I would.
Okay.
No problem, man.
Okay.
Like right now, to be honest with you, Chef, it's funny. I was talking to a brother a couple of days ago. I qualify now. I check the boxes for being eligible for a second one. That's the way I say it now, man. Look, and you know, we've talked about this a lot. MashaAllah, you taught me a lot about even this subject. This thing, you gotta be prepared. It ain't a thing where you just go, you know, because it's available, you can do. If that's the case, I would already have 3. You gotta be prepared spiritually, mentally, financially. You have to be prepared, you know, and that's what I'm learning even about myself. You gotta be prepared to do it, man. You know, so if you're not prepared, you're gonna end up destroying what you already had. So I'm learning that, man, and wallahi, subhanallah. So to be honest with you, man, you know, and we talking this video stuff, but I feel that eventually I probably will end up doing that, you know.
Okay.
You're gonna get me in trouble, Chef.
Man,
it's funny because yeah, but like even, you know, from where my wife is from, they be trying to, even though they do it in their culture, they be pushing back on that stuff. But I don't care, because if you're doing something halal and you're doing it fi sabilillah, that's the other thing too, man. You know, alhamdulillah now, you know, man, look, I'm almost 50 years old, mashallah. If I don't know, you know, like if I'm gonna be sitting out here just to get another woman to feel, I'm stupid. I'm a child, you know. If it's only about, you know, being with another woman, that I should be ashamed of myself. It's gotta be bigger than that. It's gotta be bigger than that. It's gotta be, you know, a reason and a cause that makes a person want to do it. You know what I'm saying? So if that's not the reason, man, it's like you're wasting your time. You want to end up, it's gonna be a mess. You know what I'm saying? It can't be just to fulfill your desires, just to say, okay, I got it, you know. that's childish. And I'm sure maybe, you know, brothers, you know, doing that, but in Islam, you know, even, you know, come on, man, like, you know, even like in Senegal, mashallah, when a man is able to do it, he needs to do it, because you're taking care, you know, you taking care of a responsibility, you know. And that's it's you know, this is you know, man, it's a tough the woman has to be mature. It's a situation where you have to be very mature, and you got to be, you know, you got to be a grown man to do it. You can't be a little child, man. And so, hey, man,
so it would be
I'm not
safe.
Gonna say anything else.
Okay.
You talk on it. You know better than me.
Okay. So it would be safe to say then, because certain situations have transpired with me and so forth. So it would be safe to say that if you have a sister and she's not mature enough for that situation, it's a no-go. Yeah, it's a no-go. Also, so it's not just the brother being mature. Yeah, yeah. It's not just the brother being mature about the situation. The sister also likewise has to be mature enough to handle the situation. Yeah, because if the sister can't handle the situation, she gonna have blowouts also. Yeah, and so that's one of the things that I'm experiencing to a degree, is that I feel that to a degree, sometimes we assess people and we think that they will have the fortitude until they get tested. And then when they do get tested, they don't end up coming out on the other side the way you would expect them to come out on the other side. So, and myself, the kind of advice the advice I give as far as I tell brothers all the time, don't think about going on the other side, taking the other one, man. Don't do it. And they say, why? You did it. My whole thing is don't do it, because if you're not ready for the water that it brings, because it brings a lot, it get hot in the kitchen. And if you ain't got that experience to get hot up in there like that, then don't do it. And sometimes we overlook, even myself, we overlook the reality of the heat that transpires. You know what I mean? And so sometimes, you have to know when to cancel contracts, or when to start new contracts. You know what I mean? Or when is the right time, and if it's even valid. You know what I mean, to even do that. So yeah, that's subhanallah. That's a serious one there. So
it is. It is subhanallah, very, very interesting, man. We can talk on that for hours, man.
But yeah, I know we could, but I don't want to get nobody in trouble. And you know what I'm saying? And so I'm just, I'm trying to keep it on a neutral level as basis. And so that's what I wanted to do, was I wanted to talk on that, because this is the other topic that the other brother had spoke on. And
let me ask you a quick question though, even on that subject, before we move off of it.
Okay.
In your experience and in your knowledge, where do you see, like, do you feel that because the way I look at it, I feel that there are more mature brothers that understand that situation than there are sisters. Do you feel that there's becoming now a more of an area for Muslims to talk about this in a normal manner where it would be a benefit, or do you still think it's just a sticky situation where it's just like open up a can of worms type of thing?
I think that because of the arena that has been presented, as far as the topic of discussion inside the states is biracial, not biracial marriage. I'm sorry, same-sex marriages and stuff like this right here. So because that is a topic of discussion, okay, we have many Africans or African Americans that are not Muslims, okay, that are actually discussing the topic in the States. Now, what I would say, because a lot of people are talking about repatriating back to Africa, this is a topic that has to be discussed because they have to understand that this is not a Muslim thing, okay? This is something that was practiced before Islam even entered in upon Africa. And what Islam came to do was came to regulate it so that you didn't have more than you were supposed to have, which is 4. Because before that, like if you look at the Mormons in America, they got 12, they got 13, they got 15 wives, okay? So what Islam did was Islam came and actually gave a limit to what is required and not above that limit. Because in reality, from my experience, the man doesn't even have the ability to service more than 4 women. You know what I'm saying? Unless
let me ask you this.
Okay.
So on that, what I'm noticing, what I've been reading a little bit, which is insane, but it's a reality, is I'm seeing a lot of women and pushing back, saying, "Well, if he can have more than one, why can't I have more than one?"
Okay. Now that's
we say to that conversation.
Okay.
Because I'm seeing that too. They got a word for it now. I can't even think of the word. It's crazy.
Okay, I just looked at an interview just, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. It was called
polymorphous or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I saw that.
And so this situation was 2 women with one guy, and they all are they weren't married, but they're all in a relationship together. Okay. Now, you know, and they define, you know, they explained their relationship and so forth. Okay, so now you have a situation where, um, uh, you know, she's bi, okay, and the other woman is bi, and so the question was asked to the man, um, if it was implemented where another female was entered in, another man wanted to enter into this relationship, how would you, you know, look at that, you know? And so the guy said, no, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm not down with that, you know? And so the whole ideal behind that type of relationship to you know, those are ideals that are entering into the mainstream from the uh, 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 um, these movements, okay, these liberal movements, you know, entering, presenting these ideals to brothers and to sisters so that they can live this, you know, this type of um, carefree situation. They're not married, you know. Everyone has date nights together, you know. It's a her and her night, then it's a him and her night, and then it's a him and her night on the other side. So you know, and so you know, I mean, uh, you know, I mean that, I mean, come on, I mean, for any, like I said, these are all ideals coming from the LBGT, you know, or the woman's lib, and all these different type of, you know. And so what they're doing is that they're flooding the waves and the ideals of people with these ideals, but they're not covering the topic that's in all of the scriptures. Okay, and the topic that's in every scripture and what is practiced on the ground in Africa, because that's not practiced in Africa. Okay, exactly. Africans are totally against that. Okay, and before there was scripture, this is a practice that if you know, you look back, you know what I mean. You've always seen that this is a practice, and they don't have to be Christian or they don't have to be Muslim. These are practices that you're gonna find a king in Nigeria. He could be whatever. He more than one wife. Okay. He can be in Central Africa. He can be in Sudan. He could be whatever. He gonna have more than one wife. Okay. So these are normal practices. But what we've done is that we've become infiltrated our whole mindset, our state of belief, who we are, is that, you know, we become watered down with this European, a lot of these perverted concepts. So the perverted concepts that we've been introduced to give us all of these, you know, you got kids that are growing up and they think that he may be a boy, but he wants to be raised up as a girl. You know, so these are, and this is why the systems that we allow our kids to go to school in are perverted systems. They introduce all of these things, you know what I mean? So nah, you know what I mean? I would say that outside of religion, okay, is that when you look at in terms of relationships, Africa does not have a it is not prone, considered normal for Africans to indulge. All right. Now you find some exceptions because you got dudes that they get influenced by these Europeans coming from Europe, or they may even been to Europe. They may have been to France, and then you got a lot of old white folks coming in to a lot of these countries trying to get involved into sex trafficking and stuff like that, and having sex with underage girls and boys and stuff like that. So these things are introduced through these Europeans. And so what needs to happen is that there needs to be a concentration on the knockdown of that and quit giving Europeans a pass. And this was a topic that was brought up because there's a sister, a petition was made up about a sister who is in Gambia in relation to some Gambians wrote up a petition to try to get her kicked out of the country. And she's from the Afrocentrist background, the movement, and she has been rather critical on the country as a whole, instead of being critical just on individuals that have maybe wronged her or she's had conflicts with. So, to generalize and to put all people in one category based upon certain, situations that you may have had. And I feel that, she may have had some bad situations, which I have had also, but I wouldn't put all of the people in the places that I've had bad situations with in one category. That's just generalizing, and that just shows the ignorance of your assessment of the situation, because sometimes we become emotionally involved, and that allows us to jump the gun, and now we're charged with our emotions. And so now we just and that's my whole point about when it comes down to some of our sisters, they're lions, they're lioness in truth. But to be a lioness is about knowing how to use your power with wisdom, like our African queens that ruled over whole countries, and they didn't rule by talking down to people, or what I mean, but they understood their greatness. And so when you have a particular level of greatness, it doesn't come about by degrading other people. And if you have to degrade other people and highlight all of their faults, then you're not that great. And so these are the things that the sister has to work on. She's our sister, and she's having a hard time because a lot of our brothers and sisters been miseducated with Afrocentric ideals. And so
that's the other thing too.
Yeah,
that's very important, man. And not even when we like going back. I know you want to move forward, but just that's a very important thing, even when you talk about marrying.
Okay.
I think for me, alhamdulillah, some brothers, man, I would not recommend them marrying someone from a different culture if they're not willing to learn, or even if they haven't learned anything about that person's culture. It's like, don't put yourself in that situation, because there's going to be the mountain is too high to climb.
Yeah.
It's like,
and if you're not ready,
you don't
to
even have it.
If you're not ready,
exactly.
And the point you're making is this: if you're not ready to be a student of African culture, not Afrocentric ideals, and this is where the misconception is that we have a miseducation inside of America, and then we go back to Africa thinking we know, y'all don't know. And so how you going?
Oh my goodness.
And so that that right there alone is and you know what? This leads me to a story. Okay. And you hit it right on the head. Is that a lot of times I remember when brothers, because we got a lot of brothers in Sudan where I'm at, and so a lot of brothers, they get married, and we got older brothers to talk to, what I mean, to because they got more experience. And one time, we're just sitting around, because we all used to work at the same school at one time. I was the manager there, and we all sitting around, we talking one time, and brother, he said, he's kind of frustrated. And his frustration was in terms of, these sisters, man, they weren't experienced enough for him. And so the old timers, they just sitting back and they looking and they listening. Mm-hmm. And so he finished, and some other brothers like myself, the younger brothers, we listen, we talk, and we're like, dang, I can't, so we chopping it back, yeah, I understand what you're saying. And so we chopping it back and forth. And then after we finish, maybe 5-10 minutes, one of the old heads said, young blood. And then we look. He said to us, he said, you brothers is confused. And we said, why you say that? He said, because you think that there's something wrong with these sisters. Ain't nothing wrong with these sisters. You brothers have been overly sexualized. And because you've been overly sexualized, you think that because they're not like how the ratchets were that you were with in the dunya back in your days of ignorance, you think that something is wrong with them. But ain't nothing wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? And so this is one thing that I had to realize. Yeah, I had to realize this early, is that we have been overindulged into European culture. And so there's
big time, man.
Yeah. And so we're overly sexualized, we're overly this, we're overly that. So, and so we think that when we come across people that are not like us, something's wrong with them. No, nothing wrong with them. It may be the opposite.
And you know what's crazy? That's insane, man, because and that plays out in another role too. And like what you said about you're not ready to be taught. Our mentality sometimes is to be overly aggressive, to state our point, to express our opinion, to let people know how we feel. That's sometimes our mentality. And you go into somebody else's culture, that might be looked at as being disrespectful, as you not, you being ingrat, like in their head, it's totally opposite. You need to be quiet and endure what's going on. Not necessarily even that you have to accept it or not, but you need to take a different approach than the one that you learned back home in the U.S. And sometimes that, even when dealing with, the sisters, they don't understand that. They think, I gotta scream on her, I gotta let her know. Sometimes you don't have to let her know. Sometimes you need to be patient and just chill. Understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That sometimes will produce a better result than you coming out the pocket, or, trying to show somebody, who you really are. Sometimes that's not, it's looked at different than how it, how we think it is.
As we say in the States, keeping it real.
So keeping it real. It's like, yeah, you're keeping it real, or you look like an idiot right now.
Yeah.
You're not want people to even understand what this keeping it real that you're doing. They don't get down like that. That's not their mentality. They have a, it's like for them, they don't got a chip on their shoulder. They don't always gotta show somebody who they are. So sometimes that's a big thing too, man. The brothers, and that's just an immaturity on our side. We come from a culture who, not all that everything. I gotta always remember it's not like this across the board, but a lot of brothers, African American brothers, they have this insecurity where they got to make sure that nobody's disrespect. They got to come across to make sure, there's no, whatever happens, they got to attack, And sometimes, being in Africa, how it is, people a little bit more laid back. Everybody not, fussing at every single thing that happens, you know what I'm saying? And things are a little bit lighter. And, like you've been to Egypt, you see how it is. It's not always a malicious intent.
Yeah.
It's not always a malicious intent. So even dealing with our wives, and dealing with, other people in this society, sometimes they might not have intentions to maliciously harm. It could be a little bit lighter than what you think.
Yeah.
If you're not trying to learn, you won't pick up on these little, little lessons. Yeah. The only way you can learn them is by listening. Yeah. Observing how everybody else get down. We from America, we know everything. So, that's a big problem too, man.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
You can't hear you. Say assalamu alaikum.
You know, got shy. Oh man, I'm in the camera. You know what I mean? So yeah. So I'm thinking, and once again, we appreciate you being on the show, and to all of our listeners and followers, hit that like button, share, you know what I mean? And make sure that you go ahead and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And we thank you. Assalamu alaikum.